What did I sign up for? I'm not ready. I'm not ready at all. Peter. Hello? Hi, it's me. Kurt Danielson from Five Line Creative? No, it's me. I mean, you. Well, technically it's both of us, but mostly it's you. Okay, I'm confused. It's us. Steel yourself, boy. Your timing sucks. Is there something I can do for you? I mean, me. I mean us. Are you nervous because you're ill-prepared? No. Because you're thinking, who in their right mind would be interested in what you're gonna say? No, I don't think that. Because you tell everyone you're 5'9" when you're really 5'8.5". I don't see the relevance in that. Is it because you're not wiry enough? Huh? Wiry. What? Wiry. You know, like a person who's wiry. Could you use that in a sentence? I suppose I could. Is Peter wiry enough to get up in front of the audience and speak? That doesn't even make sense. You have gas? No, well, a little. I knew it! Are you supposed to be helping? Oh, yes, sorry. Bloody hell, Peter. Everybody's waiting. Well, you keep talking. Maybe they'll be distracted. I could slip out. Besides, who's gonna recognize? Think again, brother. Think again. I'm gonna skip that, yeah. That's it. Thanks for coming. 20 minutes goes by fast. I'm Peter Jude Ricciardi, your creative solutionist. I am thirsty. I'm going to do my best to get this done in 20 minutes. I think I can do it. Thank you, Creative Mornings, for having me. Like Genevieve said, I came to this once. They fed me, they gave me coffee, and I kept coming back. I absolutely love this community and love what they're doing with it. So my topic today is moments, and the title of my program is called Are You My 2 O'Clock? So I thought about the topic and I thought, how is it that moments in my life have intersected with choices that I've made to change my career path? How does a guy with absolutely zero experience and no college degree go from waiting tables and bartending to being an on-air broadcast anchor for radio and television, and then a 15-year career at Disney? Hopefully, I can shed a little light on that. It's all about the choices I made and the moments that I was available to. This is a great quote I found. It just happened to have the word moment in it, and it was about storytelling, which is one of the things that I tend to sort of lean heavily towards, if you can't tell already. When I was younger, early 70s, one of 4 siblings, I got in trouble a lot, second son of a lefty, so that tells some of the explanation there. I was being grilled by my parents one day for something that had gone down in the neighborhood on the mean streets of Newton, Massachusetts. It's a vicious place. It's literally, we fought with silver spoons. I forget what it was exactly I had been accused of, but instead of just denying it, I decided to add a story to this denial. And what I blurted out to my parents was, it wasn't me that did this thing you accused me of. It was the man in the black hat, which wasn't freaky or scary at all to my parents. I said he lived behind the garage and he was responsible for many of the activities and actions that I had been involved in. So for weeks, the neighborhood was in an uproar. I, as a result, was punished until, I think, about 1981. At this point, my father decided it would be a good idea for us to take a moment and start putting these kids into something useful, like piano lessons. It's the late 70s, early 80s. There's awesome music to be had, and sitting in front of a piano in the basement with like a second cousin named Donald, just playing Coming Round the Mountain wasn't doing anything for me socially or for my creative interests or needs. So I said, how can I get out of this? And Dad said, you could play a sport. And sign me up. I'll play baseball, whatever. So my entrance to baseball was, I started to figure out, I'm a learner. I do by learning. I was never a good studier in school. I learned by doing things. So I had read a biography or an autobiography of Hank Aaron, Hammerin' Hank Aaron, prolific home run hitter. And I learned that as a child of 8 children, one of 8 children, his family was very poor in Alabama, and what he used to do to practice was collect bottle caps, and he'd hit them with a broomstick, because obviously a bottle cap is a heck of a lot smaller than a baseball, as a broomstick is a lot narrower than a baseball bat. So I started doing the same thing. And after, like they say, 10,000 hours, I could hit anything. I could hit a marble falling off the edge of a table, they say. I was a lefty. I got a contract with the New York Yankees. The no facial hair, no sideburns was in effect. I was good. Still struggle with some of that, but I'm working on it. And at this point in my life, I loved baseball. It was my life. It was everything I did. And again, there was something about it that wasn't intriguing me enough creatively. I wasn't getting anywhere with it. It wasn't, there's certain rules to follow. You have to follow them. I decided at this point to get into music again, so circling back. Had I stuck with piano, things would have probably gone a lot smoother with my musical career, which, here I am, my first guitar. This is my Hall and/or Oates phase. A little Eye of the Tiger, a little, see the geometric shirt with the members-only vest. It's pretty awesome. Notice here I'm a left-handed guitar player. My parents helped me out. They helped me find what is known as a left-handed guitar. And I sucked at it. I really just didn't excel. So I kept playing, and eventually I found some guys that needed a bass player, and I said, oh, I do that. I didn't know what a bass was. I do that. There's 2 less strings to fret about. So, sorry. 2 less strings to worry about. And I basically, these guys had a guitar for me, and I said, great, I'll take it, let me use it. And they said, well, it's a righty, and you're a lefty. And I was like, shit, again. I just flipped it upside down. And I learned how to play it upside down. And moving forward in my life, I learned how to play guitar upside down. I never went back to piano, too hard to flip upside down. But I learned. So after years and years in the music industry, playing with these guys, this became my life. This was all I wanted to do with my life. I even got the name tattooed on my arm. Still have it today. It's got like a great reminder of don't be an idiot. It went from what you saw before to this. It's the late 80s. To this, find me in the picture. The woman in the middle, nobody knows who that is. She wasn't in the band. I swear to God, not in the band. And then in the late 90s, we toned it back a little bit to just grunge. But as you can see here, I'm playing bass upside down, and that's how I learned how to play the instruments. And everybody always said, wow, man, you totally sound different. And I know, I suck at it. And they're like, no, it sounds different. And I was like, well, that's because you strum down, I strum up. Everything is a little bit backwards, but this is how I learned and innovated my style of playing and attacking creatively. So in this time, once the guitar strings had snapped one too many times, begging people to come out and see my band in a bar on a Wednesday night, lugging amplifiers for no reason. A couple of guys went to college, a couple of guys just quit. I was waiting tables, bartending. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. Somebody said, you should get into radio. And I was like, do you think so? Whoa. And I'm like, well, cool, how do you get into radio? And they're like, I don't know, talk to somebody. So I called a few radio stations and said, hey, how do I get in on this? I can talk. I'm a fun guy. How do I do it? And they're like, well, what internship program are you with? And I was like, what? Are you in college? No. You have to be in college in an internship program to come work for free at the radio station. What? So a suggestion was made. He said, you go down to the Channel 7 building in Boston and talk to Aaron. Aaron's a friend of a friend's. He works there at Metro Networks. They're the people that do traffic reports and weather and sports and news. And talk to him, because they do this for all the radio and TV stations. He might be able to give you sort of a way to get in. So I went down to the lobby. Brett, did you fuck up my slides? That's not the lobby. That is not the lobby, but it's cool. All right, That's close enough. So we're in the Channel 7 building, kinda, at Bullfinch Place in Boston, and I'm waiting to meet Aaron. And I gave my name at the front desk. They said, Aaron will come down and get you, bless you. And he will come down and get you in about 15 minutes. Great. So I'm standing around with my long hair, you know, hippie style, and I'm waiting for this kid to come down and talk to me. And I see this guy walking across the lobby with a suit jacket and a tie. And he walks past me and he looks at me with my hair, and then he comes back and he goes, "Are you my 2 o'clock?" I say, and this is the moment, yes. Yes, I am. I am your 2 o'clock. So this fellow, Jeff Brown, he says, come with me. We get in the elevator. Lucky me, we go up to Metro Networks. I'm supposed to be there anyways. Brings me into his office, explains to me that he's the manager of operations for this place. And he sits me down and he starts to interview me. I go with it, and he says at the end, I said, this is going pretty well. He says, do you have your demo? And I said, I think I left it on the bus. And he said, all right, well, tell you what, send it to me or drop it off. You got a good set of pipes. You should be in radio. And I'm like, yes. And, you know, so I go back down there. I produce a demo tape. It's horrific. It's like, I did it with this guy who had a studio. We put helicopter sounds and car crashes and smashing glass and, you know, screams. And I'm like just blurting things out about traffic over it that I think is supposed to be the contents of a demo. Deliver it. He hires me, and I'm there for 5 years doing traffic and weather reports in downtown Boston on all the radio stations and a couple of the TV stations. And the best piece of advice I got in this place was, the boss said to me one day, he said, you don't have to be right about your report, just don't fucking be wrong. And I was like, hey. He said, just never say there's no traffic, because there's always traffic. And people will be psyched if you say, there's a little bit of traffic as you're going up to the Cloverleaf on 93 on your way to Portsmouth. If you say there's a little traffic or a tap of the brakes, and there isn't, they'll be like, yeah, cool, awesome. But if you say the opposite, and there is, they'll hate you, and the phone will ring. Anyway, that's how I ended up there. It was really strange and bizarre. One day, walking through my neighborhood, I see a building. And on it is a logo. I walk in. It's none other than Disney. And I thought, wow, what the hell is Disney doing here just outside of Boston? It said Radio Disney. And I was like, radio, here you are again. I can do that. So at Metro Networks, there was zero creativity going on in this world. At Disney, I walk in, I see there's sales offices, and I see that there's a construction going on down the hall. So I'm not a salesperson, so I kind of gravitate towards the construction area, like what's going on here? Something's happening. I see the guy, mullet and all, who helped me create the demo tape for Metro Networks. And I said, what's going on? And he says, oh, we're building a production studio for Disney here in Boston. And I was like, seriously? Cool. How can I get involved? He says, I don't know, you know. I said, well, you need help? And he said, can you hang sheetrock? I'm from Newton. I can do that. It's what we do in Newton. No, usually we just hire someone in Newton to do that. But I said, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Show me which end of the hammer to hold, and I'll do it. And so I said, in exchange for me hanging sheetrock, you got to let me come back and see this place in operation. And they said, all right. You know, I said, that's all I want. I just want to be able to come in and observe. I've never seen what a production studio does. I don't even know what it does. So I hung around, and this was me in the early years. I'm still rocking my AC/DC shirt. It was a pretty small studio. As you can see, the equipment's relatively antiquated. It's like 1999. Digital stuff hadn't quite begun. The monitors were still like that deep. They weren't flat. I started to learn how to copyright for advertising. I started to do voiceover. And by watching and observing and taking notes, I began to learn what all those buttons on the board did and how to produce and how you structured an advertisement. And this was purely of radio at the time. And in doing so, I said, you know, can I come back? I don't have a lot of time because I'm still doing Metro Networks. I'm still bartending and waiting tables, just trying to get by. And they said, sure, we'll give you the keys. You can have the security code. Yeah. And you can come by at night and fool around with the production stuff. Just do not touch that blinking red button on the board. And I said, well, what does that blinking red button do? It doesn't matter what it does. Don't touch it. Yeah, but I need to know what that blinking red button's going to do because you told me not to touch it. What if I accidentally touch it? What if I spill a beer on it or something? Anyway, this is how I started to learn how all the buttons work. This is how I started to learn how to do creative. And a lot of people, as I moved through my career doing audio production and later television production, they said, you have a different style. You have a different way of looking at things. And I said, well, that's because I never learned the proper rules, really. I always kind of just approached things by flipping them upside down. I learned by doing. And one thing, I think most of you probably agree, a lot of times you can say yes to something and they'll say, do you know how to do this? And you go, yeah, I know how to do it. And they're going to show you anyways how they do it. So you're going to get a lesson on the fly anyways. So why take those moments and those opportunities and close yourself off when you have an opportunity to open yourself up, be available, and just make a choice like saying yes, absolutely. I'll let you choose your poison here. You want to hear NSYNC Boston or Wyclef Jean, the Today Show in New York? NSYNC Boston? Can I get a show of hands for NSYNC Boston? All right. So this is part of my career at Disney. Somebody one day discovered that he's not shy in front of an audience. And I was like, yeah, no, I'll help out. I'll fill in. I'll do this. I'll do that. You got somewhere to be? You got to go? You got to go? You want to? Should I pick it up? Am I dragging? So I said, I'll fill in. What's the gig? They said, you got to go downtown to Boston tonight and introduce NSYNC. Who? Oh, okay. So this is like Bye 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 or something tour. I got down to Boston. You know, I go backstage. I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's up? Oh, Justin, Lance, whoever. Joey, Fatone. And I go out on stage in front of 35,000 people. And I'm like, holy crap, my rock dreams are coming true. So I did what any good rocker would do in front of 35,000 screaming people on stage at the TD Bank Garden or whatever it was. I ran from one end of the stage to the other and was like, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something. Oh, fuck, right, the guy, the band. Introduce NSYNC. Now I leave, I go backstage, high five, high five, high five, Lance Bass, Justin, Joey, you, out of here. Aren't you staying? No. Hop in a cab, grab a cigarette, grab some beers. I'm back in my apartment in Brighton having a beer and a cigarette before they finish their first song. And I'm like, what did I just do? So this is kind of like the way my career at Disney starts to form. Things just start happening and I just start agreeing to do them. And I find that as I do them, it opens one door and opens another door and opens another door. Working with salespeople, always a unique thing. I'm going to blow through this one real quick. The potato client wants. So I start to learn about how creative is working in the real world. Money, the bottom line, rules all. Much like in restaurants, a lot of people have the attitude that the client is always right. So if in any given moment the client says, well, I want to make potatoes cool to kids and families, but please list all the nutritional values of a potato. How the hell are we going to do that? My approach, again, was to flip it. I don't want to list the nutritional values, but you have to have them, otherwise they won't pay for it. So what I started to learn was that the adventure, not the explanation, is what captures people's attention. This is just a brief
Quiet, everybody!
audio
I
for
call this meeting of the Washington State Potatoes together today to discuss...
To discuss how important we are?
I mean, Washington State does produce 20% of all the potatoes in the USA, but that's not why...
Because we're full of vitamin C, fiber, and potassium.
That's very true, Baked, but that's not why I...
Oh, is something wrong with our complex carbohydrates?
No, Spud, there isn't anything wrong.
It's the sweet...
All right, you get it. We're getting all the feelies in there for the client, but we're also having fun and we're also telling a story. We're taking this opportunity, which in advertising and marketing is a fleeting moment. It is sharp, it is quick. People make judgments very, very quickly. You have a very few seconds to capture that attention of an audience. And if I started that commercial with, did you know that the potato is filled with, hey kids, potatoes are a wonderful, wonderful root vegetable. Nobody, channel change, bang, gone, done. The other thing whilst working at Disney was realizing that Christmas was coming. Why don't we start working ahead in life? Why don't we start creating things for the future? Instead of letting salespeople come up with the creative on their own on the fly, we'll create banks of creative, sponsorable partnership material that our corporate sponsors are going to jump at. So one of the things in doing this, I started doing it for Disney Channel, Disney XD, which was brand new at the time. Radio Disney, we had redefined what that was. It started with streaming and all kinds of fun stuff. Digital world. Radio Disney now lives in such a digital place, they just really cut out all the terrestrial stuff. And Disney Junior, which was also relatively new. By creating content, because if you have kids and you watch any of these stations, for the most part, they don't do commercials for clients. What they do is run sponsorable material. So pro-social messaging that everyone can agree upon is a positive thing that a client can insert themselves into. And suddenly it's not an advertisement, it's a beneficial piece of messaging. The other stuff we started working on, as at this point I'm now flying between Boston, Burbank, and Dallas, to work on tour stuff. So I'm creating the collateral and suddenly working with designers and graphic designers and tour managers and artists and talents who are going to go out on the road and perform these programs. I started creating the audio components and the visual components for these programs that would tour. They were educational, they would go into school, they would train kids in things that were, really super cool. And of course, again, it's Disney, bottom line is bottom line. Someone's got to pay for all this stuff. So it was an exciting way to sort of delve into that adventure, not the explanation. And the way I always describe it is, I'll tell you in a moment why I describe it this way. It was a way to innovate. It was a way to infuse messaging and ideas into entertainment, to engage, to storytell. And I always called it Trojan horse marketing. It's like if you don't like scallops, wrap a scallop in bacon, you'll love it. So taking your marketing message and wrapping it in bacon kind of usually does the trick. One good example of this was Intel does a lot of programs internally. They wanted to partner with Disney and Marvel and do this pro-social volunteer event. They were asking people across the country at their Intel campuses to register for this event. It wasn't going well. I came in and said, hey guys, instead of a note from HR, which makes everyone cringe, why don't we do something thematic? Why don't we capture their attention? Why don't we take that one moment when they walk into their office on Monday morning and see a little red light blinking in their cubicle on the phone? And why don't we engage them that way?
The world has changed. To some, technology is a monster they don't understand. Yet many still believe that the power of technology and those who develop it can change the world. They still believe in heroes. As a member of the Great Place to Work team, you are an Intel superhero. And together, we can assemble to help vanquish world hunger and to watch a really awesome movie. Marvel and Walt Disney Pictures present The Avengers. Intel, assemble. When the call comes, will you be ready?
So much cooler than the email from HR being like, please invite your coworkers to come down to the break room on Saturday, and This was me, again, taking advantage of a moment that was afforded me. I had the opportunity to work not just with one division of Disney, but to go, hey, you know what? I can now start to incorporate other divisions, other departments, and pull them in and say, I need you for this, I need you for this, I need your logo work, I need this. Can we get the rights to the movie? Can we do that? Great, let's do it. And pull these things together. And again, this is a guy with no college degree, no formal experience, who just sees things as doable within any given moment. Once Disney started to restructure, I discovered that my job was about to change. And what was offered to me as a way to stick around after 15 years was more of a managerial position. And I remember clearly speaking to the interviewer, the recruiter about it in LA and saying, you know, honestly, I would have to uproot my family. I miss them. I don't like to travel so much, so we would move here. And would I be doing creative work or would I be managing a calendar? And they were like, hey, 70-30. I was like, 70-30 creative work? No. So I said, this is about the good time for me after 15 years to take the things that I love about what I do and do them for myself. This is an opportunity, this is a moment I can take advantage of and say, you know what, I've been there, I've done that, I did it well, I loved it, but it's time to move on. One of the things I did whilst moving on was I kept the best of the best close. I work with people I trust. I develop relationships with clients who trust me. And those are the things I always tell people, you know, whether you hire me for something or not, bless you, find the people who you trust. Find the people who are honest with you. As your creative solutionist, it's funny, you were talking about it I think in my interview or in my bio, I was saying, you know, part of my job is to tell people their kid is ugly. Find a nice way to do it. You know, you don't hire me to agree with you. You hire me to challenge you and to show you new ways of operating, of engaging, and storytelling. And that doesn't always agree with what a client may think. Now, in the end of the day, you know, I want that person to be happy. But it's my job to help educate them as to why what I do will help make them happy, will help make their business run smoother. In what I do today, this is the caveat of everything. Your brand means everything. Your first impression is often your last. You only have a moment to connect with an audience, whether it's digital, whether it's visual, photography, logo work, television. You only have a moment. One of my clients here, it's a organizational family app. I don't know why Google Calendar wouldn't work just as nicely, but this one is kind of cool. This one's actually really cool because they do a lot of different functionality things. But what they were doing was, if you read this, I hope you can read it, it was very stagnant sort of, hey mom, here's 5 ways to make your lunchtime more fun for the kids. And I was like, what mom doesn't fucking already know that? Like, it's insulting to people. And as a parent now, I realize I have got 2 kids. One's 4, one's 2. Parenting's a lot less sexy than I thought it would be. Let's embrace it. So in this, you know, we said, hey, you know, this is all about scheduling and organizing and knowing when you're supposed to pick up the kids. It's okay to be sad, Tony, your parents are idiots. Frankly, the marketing team lost their friggin' marbles over this. They were like, you'll insult our entire base. And I asked the owner, I said, do you have an entire base? He said, no. I said, who the fuck are you gonna insult? Then go here. This is going to get people talking. This is going to get people engaged. It doesn't have to tell me what that is, but what it does do is make me want to look that up and figure out what the hell that is, if it's good for me. It's not my job to convince you that it's good for you in this, you know, in this project. We moved on with a couple of other quick things, you know, just how to get out of bed. Maybe it's a disorganization. Maybe it's that bottle of wine you drank last night. Hashtag get hydrated. Ma, this kid's the best. I don't know what a Bevo is, but I do know we're going to need more wipes. A whole lot of wipes. I like to work on the impression that ideas are never, ever limited by budget. I mean, dude, somebody came up with, what? Somebody Somebody came up with the idea of a talking gecko for Geico, and it's made them millions and millions and millions. Do you think that the idea of, hey, let's have a talking gecko with a cute little Australian accent cost $1 million to come up with that idea? No, it did not. Now, somebody somewhere has charged $1 million to keep it going, which is awesome. But, you know, great ideas are never limited by budget.
Helen's going to show the kids how it's done. I'm Helen's lower back, and I'd rather she didn't. You know what happens next.
From bumps and bruises to coughs and colds, Wentworth Douglas Express Care, expert care for life's.
They didn't have a lot of money. to spend. This was Wentworth Douglas, and I was working with Sean Tracy Associates here in Portsmouth on this at the time. This was a few years ago. The client didn't have a lot of money, and they were looking for some new way to splash into the marketplace about their express care. And I said, well, what are you going to do? And they were like, well, we're thinking about laundry listing all the good things about, we've got the best equipment in the world, and we've got a friendly, happy staff who really know what they're doing. I was like, who doesn't have that? And the challenge for express care is, if I'm hurt, I don't care what you tell me. I'm going to the closest one, right? I mean, if you're bleeding from the head, are you like, should I go to convenient cares? It's convenient, but then there's Wentworth Douglas, who has friendly, happy people that know what they're doing. God, I don't know. You go to the one that's closest, but also, making that decision, you're going to the one that you have a good feeling about. You're going to the one that you've related to, you've connected with. Again, it's part of the adventure, not the explanation. If you're truly, truly curious, you're going to end up going to the one that's closest, but this is the one you're going to remember. I'm going to skip through the rest of these so we can get to the, every ski resort has snow. It's irrelevant. End of day. End of day. In the moments I've had in my life, I've been blessed and I've been lucky. Someone said to me, my chiropractor said, he told the story to his daughter about what I was going to do. And she said, wow, Dad, he makes his own luck. And he said, yeah, but he also works his ass off. And I said, that's true. I have taken advantage of moments. I've taken advantage of opportunities that have been afforded me. I have said yes. I've also said no. But this kind of work that I do now, I came here, left Disney, and thought, well, I'll go work at an agency. And someday I hope to do so. Because, when you really have that audience and that network and that atmosphere of collaborative, that's exciting. Right now, I'm your creative solutionist. I work with a small group of experts who, we all tie it in together, but they still have their day jobs. But doing it this way, for me, ends up allowing me to enjoy the moments in my life, which are really the most important for me. The birth of my first. And she takes a good photograph. This is my lovely wife, Katie. Hello. And this is the kind of life this is the part of it that means the most to me. I get to enjoy all of these awesome, awesome things because of the choices and moments I've made. So realizing if you can be available, if you can be open and you can be bold, your life can change in a lot of different ways and a lot of different aspects. That's me, and I'm grateful for this moment. Thank you for sharing it with me. And creativity always, always wins. Thank you. My name's Jude Ricciardi. I know. Yes.
Did you ever tell that guy that later down the line that you weren't his true
Yes. Yes. He took it surprisingly well. I did tell him on the day I was leaving, though. I said, dude, I got a job at Disney. And he was like, oh, what? And I was like, oh, by the way. And in fact, on that story, when I left the lobby that day, when I left his office, there was some poor schlub sitting in the chair. And I was like, ooh. He did get another job, though, in that building, in that division, so he was all set. Yeah.
Have you randomly gone up to somebody and just said, are you my 10 o'clock? Have you used that in reverse? In some fashion?
No, I haven't.
But you will.
Perhaps I will. Has anybody else ever taken advantage of an opportunity like that where you just said, It's not like stealing a wallet you found on the ground. It's just taking an opportunity that avails itself to you and saying, now what can I do with it? Yeah.
What kind of an agency do you want?
Do I want?
Yeah, you said you...
I work really as I love to create. So for me, it's all about doing. I'm not a fan of the agency style that says, it's more project management and we're shuffling work out here and there and I don't know, it's going to the lowest bidder, I don't know, just get it done. I don't like that. I mean, I like, when I work with somebody, I tell people, look, I don't do that. I have a guy that does that, and he's someone that I trust explicitly. So when I have looked for agencies to go, hey, I want to be a part of that, I look for culture, and not just fake culture, not we've got a ping pong table and we do beer keg Fridays. That's not culture. That's not culture. I'm looking for an agency that has true creative, collaborative culture. They want to drive engagement, they want to move forward, they want to grow. I've talked to a few agencies, which is interesting, and I said, I want to do this, and I think I can help you change and grow and expand here and here and here. I think that's what I can bring to the table. And they said, we don't want to grow. We're just happy here, right here in this little box. And I was like, oh, okay, to each their own. Does that make sense? Does that answer?
Yes.
Kinda?
Culture. Culture is important. And
Rewind, culture. Yeah, culture and creative, everyone should get to be involved. Yes?
So how do you choose your clients? Do you ever turn clients down?
Yeah. I find clients that, right from the go, I have sort of that thing where you go, ooh, you're going to be a pain in the ass. And that usually starts with, we don't have much money. Awesome. That's the first thing I want to hear. And I say, well, I don't have much talent. We're a good friggin' mix, aren't we? You'll pay and I'll give shit. You'll pay nothing and I'll give you a pile of shit. I turn clients down when it just isn't a good fit, or when I can't help them. I've had a client recently, I said, I've taken you as far as I can take you, and if you're not willing to do this, and this, I can't do anything else for you, so, come back when you're ready. Or just saying, you're not a good fit for me, but I know somebody that can help you. I know somebody who's really actually, this is their specialty, and why don't I connect you to them? And finding clients, I find clients by doing things like this. I started trying to cold call people for some reason. It was the frickin' worst. I find clients by just engaging and going to things and speaking to people and being a part of things. That's how I find them.
Peter, I have a question actually for you. I wanted you to share a recent experience, metaphorically or literally, when you flip something upside down. I found that so powerful. Absolutely. That guitar piece was like mind-blowing to me. Like literally your mind worked that way. So share something more in the more recent past.
Okay. Well, I skipped over it here. I guess that example would have been like something, I was doing some work for one of the ski mountains, and every ski mountain has snow, and they all tend to say the same thing. They all tend to do, we're family friendly and the kids really love it. Look at the powder. And everyone, and I don't ski. I don't ski. So I'm like, what are the words you use? Pow pow? Okay. Do you still use gnarly? No? Okay. By flipping it over, in that case, what I was able to do was go, what is it you are? What are you as a resort? Are you a community? Are you an experience? Are you a tradition? Are you all of them? And it was funny because the answer was, we're all of them. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We're in that let's please everyone box. Great. But what I came up with for these guys was to say, hey, look you know what? Let's embrace that. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not dance around it and try and say it all. Let's just say, #have it all. And the campaign I created for this mountain was all about, it was a very aggressive, it was the opposite of what everyone else is doing. And this is why I'm telling you this story. It was the exact opposite of what everyone else does. It was a very aggressive, there are people out there that say you can't eat, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, guess what? And then we get into the nuts and bolts of what they're doing there. And then at the end, we're wrapping it up with, hey, I'm having my cake, I'm eating it too, I'm having it all. And it was about taking that resort and giving them a voice, and giving them an opportunity to do something completely opposite of everyone else in the marketplace. So when I listen to radio or watch television and I see the rest of the resorts doing the same spot, it's white noise. But when that one pops up, I know it's a good one because it connects and it really sticks out.
Is that your voice on there?
Where?
The cake, eat it.
Yeah, you've heard that? Yeah.
I thought you were Anthony Bourdain.
I am Anthony Bourdain. Funny. That'd have been awesome. Yeah, it would have been good. Yeah, that is me. But that was a fun thing because at first I did a series for those guys, and again, this was a client that said, Oh, we don't have much money. Really? The guy that owns you is the governor of the state now. I think you've got money. We were going to do a spot here and a spot there. And I said, dude, I've got this great idea, and it really needs to have a lot of spots to be effective. And here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to make them. Use them. Let's just do a great campaign. I'm not going to worry about, well, I made 10 and charged you for 4. Let's just make it great. Let's make it work. So, in one spot you hear him saying things like, there are those people who always cover their test answers in school. They're the same people that say you can't have it all. That's how we built out this program. It was just a little punchy, a little like, for the people who say you can't have it all, there's a bus over there filled with folks who smell like mentholated chest rub. Get on it. And they were a little bit like, I don't know, that seems bold. Seems a little bold. And I said, well, I made them, have them, take them, use them, don't use them. They're using them. Because what they found is that, people react. People remember. If you offend a few people, okay. I mean, who's going to get offended? So yeah, that was me. That's that. Anybody want to grab breakfast?